Hello and welcome to Food Safety Fridays. My name is Simon Timpley from the International Food Safety and Quality Network. I'm a little image in the corner. I probably am for you as well, but never mind. Today's topic is how to analyze risks in the new ISO 22000 2018, and that's with our great friend of IFSQN, Vladimir Surčinski. I'll be introducing you to Vladimir shortly. Just a few things. If you've not joined us before, the chat bar, type in, tell us where you're joining us from today. It's always nice to see you and see whereabouts in the world you're from, usually from every corner. Well, it's not a corner because it's a round globe, every part of the globe. Anyway, it's great to have you along today. Looking forward to the presentation. Before we get stuck into it, I'm going to play the sponsors ads and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay.
The world of food has changed a lot in the last 100 years. But one thing that doesn't change? Ensuring the quality and safe handling of food. No matter what changes are yet to come, we're proud to always be on our clients' side, shaping the future of food, today and tomorrow. AIB International, ever onward.
Okay. Thanks to the Food Safety Friday sponsors. Good afternoon, Vladimir. How are you?
Good afternoon. Very good.
Yeah, and we've got 450 people joining us live, so that's great. Can I just ask you a question before we get started?
Yes.
How do you keep your hair so nice in this lockdown?
I didn't visit a hairdresser for like 5 weeks.
We're all
And I see some friends from Macedonia and Bosnia here in the chat box right now, and I'm thinking that they are laughing right now.
Well, you're looking pretty slick to me anyway.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's go. Okay, let's get the slides on. I'll be back later.
Okay, so hello to all food safety friends. I know that the situation is not so great right now, but it's a good time to be in front of the computer. I hope that lots of you start working from home right now, and or maybe in previous weeks. I know that food industry is under a lot of pressure, and I know that also this pressure could be really, terrible. And we realize that food industry is really important right now in these times. So no matter if you are working or you're working from home, it is a good thing that you can be here and that we can discuss about some things like how to analyze risk in the new ISO 22000-2018. And also thank you for logging into this presentation, and thanks also to IFSQM for this great opportunity that gives us all the place to share and to learn. And of course, special thank to you, Simon, for being our host for these great webinars. So today we are going to talk about these requirements of new ISO 22000-2018 and some several steps that you can easily implement in your business to comply with these requirements. Practically you all know me from previous webinars since I started presenting for IFSQN from 2015. Till now, we have talked about the topics of emergency preparedness, about traceability of food in restaurants and fast foods, also some interesting topics like safe food with healthy food. We also, among first on the internet, covered topic of how industry should react in this time of COVID-19. And actually on Monday, we will have, of 27th of April, we will have additional like the update and questions and answers regarding this COVID-19. And if you go to the IFSQN, you can see all of these webinars that we already prepared for you. I'm a certified food safety expert with more than 10 years in food safety topics through implementation, training, and auditing business. Food safety standards are my focus, but still I'm strongly included in standards for quality, for environmental protection, health and safety, business continuity, and of course, risk assessment. I'm currently in position of product manager for certification and trainings in food standards in certification body of Quality Austria, where I'm also accredited auditor and trainer with more than 500 audits performed in different industries and more than 1,000 persons trained, even more trained through the online platforms. So my vision is to find new ways to analyze risks in food safety and defining of methods that will be used in industries across the world. And my strategy is to develop and research new topics in food safety, presenting them through the webinars, trainings, forums, blogging, and of course, publications. There is also a new thing, and from the beginning of the 2019, I started my own video blog called Addicted to Food blog. It is focused on food safety topics, and it is available on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Wherever you go, you can find me. It is Addicted to Food. Okay, you are all aware that the new version of ISO 22000 has arrived after several years of discussion and changes. Why it is listed for so long and it lasted for so long? The reason is everyday changing food industry and supply chain. So you understand that in previous years we challenged big world-scale product recalls. We developed food defense and food fraud programs. Supply chain is becoming more demanding regarding this distribution of products from one side of the world to another. But after all the changes, new version was realized in 2018, actually in June 2018, and with the publication of same, you could start implementing these new requirements. The main purpose generally is not changed, and same is to harmonize the requirements of the food safety system globally. Few of them mentioned already. Standard contributes to the harmonization of food safety systems across the farm to table food chain, meaning that scope of the standard covers all food production aspects from primary producers to caterings and retails. Still, like any other ISO standard, this does not specify specific criteria when it comes to the performance of a food safety system, and does not specify how a food safety system should be designed. But it specifies requirements for food safety system for an organization directly or indirectly involved in food chain. And some of these requirements we are going to talk today. So our first question today is already set up in the pool. So Simon will set up the pool and you can go there and click it. Are you already certified according to new version of ISO 22000-2018? You have it in the pool. If you click it, we can see the answers and help you a little bit in implementing the requirements. So I see that you are clicking it because the answers are changing. We see for now that there is more than 70% saying no, that you are not certified according to a new version, and this is understandable. Okay, you can continue, click it, but it is 70% and more that is not certified, 30% saying that they are certified according to a new version of ISO 22000. For you, for 70% of you, you have the certification deadline, and the certification deadline is June 2021. So the certification deadline is June 2021. Till that day, all organizations that are certified according to ISO 22000 should be transferred on version from 2018. This would mean that all certificates last till June 2021, and the best thing would be that you already start with the transfer audits during this year. I know that this coronavirus pandemic situation is not helping with this, but okay, of course you can plan it. You can use surveillance audit also to be transfer audit. So my suggestion here is to undergo with the certification of a new version, even if you are not totally ready. You will get some major or minor nonconformities regarding new requirements, corrective action plan, and a deadline for implementation of the sign. At the end, you will get the certificates and you will not have to worry about the deadline of June 2021. So if you are able, please try to undergo, if you still didn't have the certification or the surveillance audit till this day, you can plan the certification or surveillance audit till the end of the year, and you plan it according to the new version. Why I'm saying this? Because I have a lots of clients that already transferred to new version, and we can say that this new version is actually something that helped them maybe to participate more on tenders some kind, and also to be the first among competitors on the market with the new version standard. So this is actually right now during the audits, we are using the version ISO 22000 from 2005, and according to this we are doing the audits, but all audits have to be performed in June 2021 till June 2021 and to transfer to 2018. So this is actually something that you can plan it. So if you do not do it till the end of this year, you will have to do it in 2021 before June. So for example, if you have an audit that you are always doing in August or September, in 2021 you will have to do it before June. So actually, if you are doing it, I don't know, in September, then it would mean that the last date you will do again in June. So this will be like several months later before your regular audit date. So this you should discuss with your auditor, you should discuss with your certification body. But for me, the best thing would be that you go till the end of this year, that you already go to the certification according to new version. Okay, so regarding today's presentation, we are not going to talk about how to implement whole standard, and we are not going to talk about all main changes in the standard. We are going to cover new requirements under point 4. This is context of the organization. And also 6.1, this is actions to address risks and opportunities, and we are going to focus on risks. But we have solution. If you want to hear about all new requirements and changes, there are several presentations covering the topic of ISO 22000-2018 2018, presented on Food Safety Fridays, and we already set up links in this presentation that will be shared to you after we finish the webinar today. First is topic of implementing an ISO 22000-2018 compliant food safety management system by Tony Connor, our friend. The second one is the overview of the new ISO 22000-2018 standard by David Rosenblatt. And these are all very good presenters. If you click on these links later when we share the presentation, you can go there and listen to really, really quality presentations and the new things that are sent to the that you can see what are the changes. Also, in several presentations, we talked about some specific requirements in ISO 22000-2018. For example, I had one presentation in Food Safety Fridays. This was fast method to define and test recall and withdrawal procedures. And in this presentation, I also talk about requirements from ISO 22000-2018, but only focused on fast method to define and test recall and withdrawal. Additionally, you can visit for direct questions our direct blog for more information and questions. IFSQN blog, you will find the topic assessment risk and opportunity document for ISO 22000-2018. And if you follow this link, you can go there. What is important, and you will see it in the offers right now, for more detailed implementation, you can visit IFSQN store. So if you visit IFSQN store, you will find there ISO 22000 Food Safety Management System, Food Manufacturers Edition, and here you can download a really good prepared documents that can help you in implementing all the requirements of the ISO 22000. And of course, you will have the contact on IFSQN to help you how you can do it. Okay. So, as mentioned today, we are covering requirements of context of the organization and actions to address risks and opportunities. Primarily, we are focusing on finding the risks. So main reason for this is that new version wants from organization to start with the risk-based thinking. So actually, this is different from what we are used to, since for food standards, we mainly consider hazards. Well, hazards in this case are different from the risks, as hazards are connected with the process of production or something that could influence on food safety, like, you know, biological, chemical, physical hazards. But risks, they are totally different because they are connected with all kinds of risks that could influence on business of company and internal or external process functioning in the company. So main new requirement is that company analyze beside food safety hazard now all the risks that could have negative influence on other processes like sales, like purchasing, maintenance, etc. To start with this standard gave us some next requirements, and you can see here the requirements under point 4. This is the context of the organization, and what is actually, this is a new point. We didn't have it earlier in ISO 22000 or ISO 9001, but actually we had it. It is like the explanation of what company is. So the requirement here is really clear. The organization shall determine external and internal issues that are relevant to its purpose and that affects its ability to achieve the intended results of the food safety management system. Also, the organization shall identify, review, and update information related to these external and internal issues. So what would be these internal and external issues? We will go through some of the tools that you can use to explain it, and also we will look at the notes, and in these notes we will check what are these internal and external issues. Now, if you look in your, let's say, maybe food safety management system manuals or quality manuals, probably you already have some of these issues mentioned, you know, like you mentioned the suppliers, you mentioned I don't know, maybe you mentioned the customers, etc. But this is only part of the internal and external issues or relevant parties. The second thing in the context, it is said to ensure that the organization has the ability to consequently provide products and services that meet applicably statutory, regulatory, and customer requirements with regard to food safety. And here the organization shall determine the interested parties that are relevant to food safety management system, the relevant requirements of the interested parties. So you have to see who are the interested parties relevant to your food safety management system, but also why these relevant interested parties, what are the requirements of them. And we will go through some really nice documents here that we are going to mention, and also we will mention some of these interested parties and also the requirements of these or the relevant requirements. Yes. The next point that is important for us is this 6.1 requirement saying the actions to address risks and opportunities. This is totally new because here we talk about risk. This is effect of uncertainty. This is an effect is a deviation from the expected positive or negative. And actually here we are mentioning totally new thing in the ISO 22000 or ISO 9001. These risks are different than hazard. I already mentioned hazard is something that is only connected with the food safety. It is mentioned in your hazard analysis, in your HCCP plan, but the risks is something that is considered as a problem for your processes or problems that comes from your external and internal issues. So here, when you are planning the food safety management system, the organization shall consider the issues referred to point 4, context of the organization, and determine the risks and opportunities that need to be addressed to give assurance that the food safety management system can be achieved, also to enhance desirable effects, to prevent or reduce undesired effects, and to achieve continual improvement. Also, organizations shall plan these actions to address risks and opportunities, and also the organization plan how to integrate and implement the actions in the food safety management processes and to evaluate the effectiveness of these actions. Also, these actions taken by the organization to address risks shall be proportionate to the impact on the food safety requirements and also the conformity of food products and services to customer. And at the end, requirements of interested parties in the food chain. Although the requirement, as we said, ISO is not saying how you can do it, it is saying just what shall you do, and these are the requirements of the standard. But later on in the standard, if you have the copy, you will see in the notes that ISO is giving some more explanation. Some of the further notes explained in the standard give us more inputs what should be covered through the implementation of these requirements. So, for example, context can be facilitated by considering external and internal issues. And here including, but not limited to, you can count on legal, technical, competitive market, cultural, social and economics, environment, cybersecurity. Also, you can count on food fraud, food defense and intentional contamination, knowledge of performance of the organization, etc., etc. So these are all things that could be on the like external and internal issues, and all things that you can count on it during your definition of context of the organization. Regarding the actions to address risk and opportunities, this is a slightly different explanation, and it is saying that in these actions to address risk and opportunities, you can include avoiding risks, you can include taking risk in order to pursue an opportunity, eliminating the risk source, changing the likelihood or consequence, sharing the risk, or just accepting the presence of risk by informed decision. We are not going to talk today about opportunities, but this is something also added by ISO 22000 and very important. Maybe in some of the other webinars we are going to talk only about opportunities, because this is totally new and people are struggling to define what are the opportunities for the company, because these are not the same as strategies. Strategies comes from the thinking of the opportunities, but we will discuss further maybe in some other webinar or through the questions and etc. Okay, so if you look at these requirements of clause 4, they can seem too general, and there is a risk of going too wide when defining the internal and external issues. In fulfilling this clause, you should focus only on issues that can affect the customer satisfaction and delivery of quality products and services. An organization internal context is the environment in which it aims to achieve its objectives. Internal context can include its approach to governance, its contractual relationship with customers, and its interested parties. Things that need to be considered are related to the culture, beliefs, values, or principles inside the organization, as well as complexity of processes and organizational structure. To determine external context, you should consider issues arising from its social, technological, environmental, ethical, political, legal, and economic environment. So examples of external context may include government regulations and changes in the law, economic shifts in the organization market, the organization competition, events that may affect corporate image, changes in technology, etc. Okay, also basically all this information is in the heads of the CEO and other members of management, but it was never put on paper. So the best way to gather it is by organizing some brainstorming. Systematization of all this information can be very valuable and demonstrate where you stand as an organization. In simple terms, the requirement for identifying relevant interested parties means that you need to decide whose opinion about your company you should care about. Interested parties include direct customers, end users, suppliers and partners, regulators, and others. Others could include people in the organization like owners, shareholders, and even society. These parties add value to the organization or are impacted by activities within the organization. Identifying and meeting their needs is important to implementing an efficient and effective quality and food safety management system. Their feedback can rely and also help you to determine what can be improved in your organization and how. Regular management review is necessary to monitor the organization internal or external issues. Once the internal context is understood, management can conduct an external analysis using PEST, for example, so this is political, economic, social, technological, or SWOT analysis, and really benefit from this new requirement instead of just formally fulfilling it. There are several tools additional you can use like PEST or widened PESTEL, including environmental and legal. Also, some specific tools like Porter 5 Forces and Staple analysis, including all previous but also ethical questions. Regarding 6.1, there are several tools that could be used for analyzing. And here I'm mentioning only few of them, like FMEA analysis, portfolio analysis, PPA, potential problem analysis, also use of risk index and consequence or probability matrix. This is like qualitative analysis. And also risk assessment techniques that you can use from ISO 31010. So actually, if you look at the right and left side for each of these points, I put several tools or methods that you can use for defining the context of the organization, meaning external and internal issues, and also defining the risks for your processes and company like demanded or required by the point 6.1. Of course, we are not going to go through all of these requirements. We are going to go only through some of them, and the reason for this is because we don't have enough time, of course, to go through every of these tools. But at the end of the presentation, we will share with you also the places where you can check all of part of these tools that we are having in our additional webinar, of course. So first, as an example for defining the context, we can use PESTEL analysis. I found it that this PESTEL analysis is really nice because it is just the abbreviation of the several words, words like the abbreviation of first letters like politics, economics, social, technology, environment, and legislation. What actually should you do with this PESTEL analysis? Actually, you will sit with your team. Of course, you will need to include the top management in this, and you will discuss about each of these issues that are connected with your company. So the first thing would be the policy or the politics, and here in the politics you will talk about government policy, about political stability, corruption, tax policy, also labor law, trade restrictions, etc. So what is example? I have one company where the owner is politically active. Right now the political party is ruling the country, and because of this they have really good market promotion and everything. But actually this is something that they need to consider. What will happen if this policy or the is not anymore on law, and in this case it could happen that a company loses some of the market or have some issues with transporting the products, etc. Also, politics could include the politics between the country, and this could influence transporting of the product or exporting. So this is actually something that you need to think about. The second thing are the economics, and you can include some of the questions like economic growth, you can include exchange rate, interest rate, inflation, disposable income, unemployment rate, etc. Of course, this analysis is not something after you finish it and you explain it. This is not something that you will do it one time and that's it. Of course, you can review it, and the proposal is to review it once per year. But of course, in these situations, you will review it even more often, because if you look the situation with the pandemic situation right now, you will have to really issue or to analyze this PESTEL like economics or social, etc. When we go further in this PESTEL, you can see the S letter. It is for the social, meaning that you need to consider about population growth rate, how this will affect your business, also the processes, age distribution, also some health consciousness, lifestyle attitudes, etc. This could influence on your business, but also your products or services. Also the technology, level of innovation, automatization, research activities, technological change, technological awareness, etc. When we go to the environment, you need to think about weather, about climate, about environmental policies, climate change, and etc. And at the end, we have legal, like discrimination laws, antitrust laws, employment laws, etc. So if you go through all of these let's say parts, and you try to explain how your company is dealing with the politics or the environment or the legal issues, etc., and try to think what could have negative effects on your company processes, products, or services, you will have at the end your context for the external issues. So this is only one thing that you can use. This is only PESTEL analysis. The next thing that you can use is also a SWOT analysis, for example. So this SWOT analysis is something that you need to think about when we talk about context of the organization. With this context, the SWOT analysis, for example, I think that you already know about them regarding context. We can also use it, and I think you are all familiar. In this case, I just wanted to show you a model of combined SWOT. What you are used to is that you explain the strengths, the weaknesses like internal factors, and you explain the opportunities and threats like external factors. But and when you explain it, you have your SWOT analysis, and from this SWOT analysis, you just show practically what is the strength of your companies. For example, here the strength of the company is well-known product on the domestic market, variety of the products that are offered, stable financial situation, and we have a growth in this company. New products are offered, like for example, in this case, vegan sausages. The weaknesses of the company are that human resource management, the competencies, also sales activities, high prices, no initiatives, also business development and innovation. There is a lack of survey regarding trends in other countries. So this is just the part of weaknesses, and we have the opportunities and threats. When we look at opportunities, there is expansions toward the developing countries worldwide. We have trends in food industries, higher trust among customers in developing countries, in European market. And we can have threats like economic situation, we can have some competitive rivalry, etc. So if you define all of these that are really specific for your company, you can check that some of these strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are something that really shows how your company acts on the market, what exists in the company, what are the weaknesses, and this is the explanation of the context of the company. I see that lots of you are asking questions how this is connected with the food safety, but actually it is connected with the whole company functionality. For the direct food safety, only what is connected is the hazard. So the hazard analysis that you already have done in the HACCP, we are talking about ISO 22000 requirements. So there are not just food safety issues. These are the issues of risks that are connected with your food producing company. So in order to define or to find the risks or problems, you need first to define the context of the organization. And these are some analyses that you can use. Of course, you can integrate PESTEL in SWOT analysis as external factors, and this is correct because with PESTEL you can, evaluate some of the internal and some of the external factors, but with SWOT you have also some internal and external, and if you combine it you will have a lot of information. What is interesting here is that because of this SWOT that is very simple, you can use straight weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I wanted that to show you that we can use something like combined SWOT. And what is now on the presentation is the combined SWOT. How the combined SWOT is actually used, you can see these gray fields in the middle and down on your right side. And these gray fields are used as combined SWOT. So actually what we are combining, for example, we are combining weaknesses with opportunities, and in this gray area you can see that if we combine what are the weaknesses of our company and what are the opportunities of our company, we combined and got that we can have the evaluation of competencies and use of outsourced education like special schools for education of workers in meat industries. Also, we can have installing clear requirements for market surveys in coordination with local partners, and also improvements in branding on international level. For example, if we combine, for example, strengths and also the threats, We can see some in gray area adjusting of price on new markets, presentation of new products that are not presented on the market, variety of products offered to compete with the competition that is also well known. And actually these gray areas are showing us the combination between all of the SWOT analysis, and also are helping us in having the strategies that we can use in our company. So actually from this SWOT, from this context, we will define the strategies. Okay, so this is one example. You can use the simple SWOT analysis, but you can use the combination with the PESTEL. Also, you can use this type of combined SWOT. I know it looks as small letters right now, but when we share the presentation, when you download it, you can zoom it and you will have bigger letters and the more detailed explanation. Okay. The next thing that I find, there is a popular website with free downloaded context for ISO 9001. And this is Oxbridge, and link you can find at the bottom of this slide. I have used their free template to present example how you can show all interested parties in your company context. So when we share the presentation, you will have on this slide, you see down there the link. You go on that link and you can find additional documents that can be useful for you regarding the implementation of some requirements in your own company. So if you look at these, this is only one document that is showing the context of the company, and also it is showing all the general interested parties. So for example, on your left side, if you look at this Kyoto log, there are interested parties list. And this is only listed like, like external. This could be the certification body, it could be a attorney, it could be, I don't know, local community, etc. Also, there is some internal that could be, I don't know, top management, it could be like the procurement and users, etc. And all of them have some reason to be included. Also, on the right side, you have the issues list. So in this issue list, you have for every interested party, you have issues that could be connected with these interested parties. So interested parties, you can find it also something that you can go through the SWOT or the PESTEL analysis or some other analysis, but actually here you have all the issues listed already, and actually this would be something that you can use really easily in your next defining of the context, of course. When you go on this link after we define the slides, you can open also this context or the Kyoto log, and actually you can use it, of course, you can use it in your everyday. Okay. So the next thing, for those who already implemented the new ISO 22000-2018, this is only the 30% of you. Which tool or method did you use to define context of the organization? If you can comment it in the chat box, you can put it. Which tool or method did you use to define the context of the organization? So this is the question, and please, for those who already implemented, you can just put which tools did you use to define context of the organization. Oh, I see. Okay, John, SWOT, Sanya saying SWOT. Okay, PESTEL, SWOT. Okay, SWOT and PESTEL analysis. Mainly of you have used SWOT. Yeah, this is nice. As I explained, you can use the SWOT. The SWOT analysis is really easy to use, but my proposal is that you use combined SWOT. The combined SWOT is really useful because with the combined SWOT, you can also define the it is also nice to define the strategies of your company. So this is actually something that can help you in more defining the strategies, but also the objectives. Okay, so it is very clear. You can use the SWOT. Majority of you are using the SWOT, but actually for me, I would use also the combined SWOT, also use the PESTEL, and to get more and more inputs for my company or to explain the context. At the end, where you will present your context, you can present it in your already existing food safety management manual, or you can present it as a separated document, just explaining how did you define your context of the organization. And this is something that you are not doing only one time. Okay, we are continuing with risk analysis when we speak about risks, and this time I'm only speaking about potential risks, will not include opportunities. First, for me, an easy tool is FMEA. This is just one example of the FMEA. You will have it in the downloaded documents, and here I will only explain, for example, that I put it here, the process of supplier audit. There are some potential errors like auditors not performing audits according to specified company demands. Also, some error consequence is that not adequate audit results with no improvements potential. And also there could be some error cause like not clear about specific company demands. Some control measures is the internal auditor training and refreshment, and we calculate here the probability of occurrence, also significance, and detection. According to this, we got some risk priority index, and with this risk priority index, we can calculate, is this risk high for us or it is not high? And in this case, this was not high risk for us, and we did not have any need to define additional measures. So this FMEA, someone is asking, what is FMEA? This is failure mode effect analysis, and you can use it, of course, as a product FMEA for the product, but also you can use it as a process FMEA to analyze any risk for your processes. For example, I have used the FMEA to analyze the processes of purchasing or the issues that could be connected with the purchasing, and this is something that is very easy to use because you have some logical calculation of occurrence, also some effects and probability of detection, and according to this you calculate the risks. After you calculate the risk, you have additional table with measures, and after you implement the measures, you will show how you lowered the risks for your processes or your issues. So this is the FMEA. Something that is similar to FMEA, this is potential problem analysis, or PPA. We can also call it potential risk analysis. It is slightly similar like the FMEA, only it is different in some wording. It is saying the key step here, I put the key step, external customer expects high quality products. And the potential problem is improper packaging results in shipping damage discovered by customer. And possible causes could be bad packaging material sent by supplier, insufficient reception control, etc. And probability here is calculated from 1 that is very unlikely to low, and 3 very likely. I put here 1, it is very unlikely to happen, but the impact here is estimated 3. It could have a really big impact because of the reaction of customer, and you multiply both ratings. In this case, if the multiplication result is 3 and higher, it needs some preventive actions. Here we put the preventive action like refreshment trainings for employees, confirmation of specification, also methods to detect. Here we have final control in internal laboratory, and also mitigation plan is procedure for handling with the non-conformity products, recall procedure, root cause analysis, and also corrective action plan. All of this will be available for you in the downloaded presentation presentation so you can zoom in and look more into details and return to the presentation because you will have this recording. Of course, additional thing you can go is to go on a COTO log. This is a risk register. Again, I'm speaking about the Oxbridge download section. You can download, this is the same document like the COTO log we started, where you define some internal and external issues. And this is the part where you define interested party and issues and some specific risks that could be connected with them. In this case, I use the same interested party issue like external customer, distributor expects high quality product, and specific risks is improper packaging results in shipping damage discovered by customer. Here you count the probability. It is counted like unlikely to occur and has occurred in past year. And with this Excel sheet, you already get the result. In this case, this is 3.5 results. If we go further, we have the calculation of the consequence. And this consequence is calculated if risk is encountered. And here in the consequence, you need to calculate some potential loss of customer. You need to think about potential inability to meet the requirements of single job, also some issues on impact on company reputation, etc. All of this is already predefined in this document. If you download it from the Oxbridge, you need to just click it and you will have your answers. When you put all the answers, what is important here is that you have also the part where you put some costs of the correction, like financial penalty. And if you put these costs, you have some consequence rating. At the end, you have some detectability. Also in the drop list, you will have to put can you detect this risk, or there is no any issues to detect these risks. And at the end, you will have some risk factor. Already predefined in this document is that risk factor that is higher than 35 is actually the risk that you need to pay attention. If you look at all this, it is also similar like the FMEA, the calculation, the way how it is done, etc. But what is useful here is that this document allows you to really use what is needed to calculate and to show to your top management, to your owners, to auditors, or everyone how you really calculated the risk. In this case, risk factor is high and you need to implement some mitigation measures. Here we put some refreshment trainings for employees, we put some procedures for handling with the non-conforming products, etc. And after we implement all of these measures, the next step would be that we come back, we again calculate the risk and show that we lowered the risks. So this is the point of ISO 22000.6, is that you calculate all the risks, and from all of these risks to calculate and to implement some of the issues or to implement the corrective actions. And after you implement all the corrective actions, the next step is that you show that you lowered the risks. Okay, so actually some of you already implemented the risk, and my question here, you can comment it in the chat box. What tool did you use to analyze the risks in your company? So did you use any FMEA or did you use any other things? For me, for example, you can use also the similar thing like the hazard analysis, but only difference is that you are not going to use the hazards for the processes. You will use something different. You will use risks, but you can calculate it on the similar time. Okay, ISO risk assessment, FMEA. I see lots of you have used FMEA. Risk and opportunity register. Okay, similar to COTO log. Okay, FMEA. Lots of yes. This is why I'm saying that FMEA is really easy to use. You have really something to calculate and to show the level of your risk. Okay, PIMS software, this is nice because there are lots of softwares that you can use to evaluate the risks in your company. We didn't mention it. We mentioned only these simple things that you can, download it and do it by your hand. But of course, the things are changing, and you can use some softwares, and it is really, really useful. Hazard analysis, okay. If you use the hazard analysis to evaluate hazards of your that influence your food safety, that is okay. But you should think about how to use it to evaluate the risks in your company connected with several processes like purchasing or something else. Okay, so for Mirand, some key things for you to remember. FMEA is not only for product impact, it is also for the processes, but you can look at it. FMEA is really for different kind of things. So key things to remember is the issues. Context should contain all internal and external interested parties and explained issues. Analysis, you can use tools for analysis of issues and risk, depends on the company, and there are no rules defined by standard on how to do it. You can do whatever you want. So there is no definition by ISO what you should use or how to use it, only that you need to analyze it. What is the review time? Context and risk are not one-time job or document. This is something that should be reviewed minimally once per year. And okay, this is minimally, meaning that you can look at that in the management review. This is point 932 in the ISO 22000-2018, and it is saying the requirement of the standard asks for management review input to review risks and opportunities. So you will have to change now the management review, also your report or the record, and also to include the risk analysis. So this would mean that you also review all the risks that exist in your company. And what should you show? You should show that actually some of the risks that are under control, some of the risks that do not exist anymore because you implemented some things, and maybe some new risks has occurred in previous time. At the end, you have documentation. Of course, all analysis, reviews, validations should be recorded in some type of documented information. Okay, so for you, something, dear food friends, if you enjoyed today's presentation, we call you to go to our IFSQN training section. You can click it on the link in the slide and take a part in a training, root cause identification and problem solving tools in food safety. I'm sure that this 4-hour practical webinar will give you additional answers to your questions, and also will help you to analyze these risks, but with all useful tools also will help you in identification of root causes and dealing with your non-conformities. And of course, it will be easier to present it to top management and also the auditors. You will have this presentation, you will have the link, you can click it, but also in the offers you can look. We already put the link to this 4-hour webinar training, and I'm sure that you will learn additional things like introduction to the standards. You will have the practical use of Pareto analysis. You will have the FMEA completely explained. You will have practical use of Ishikawa diagram. Also, you will have practical use of 8D problem solving, which is mainly used in automobile industry, but very, very applicable in food safety industry or food industry. And this is, my dear friends, for the small n. Thank you and stay healthy. And we will continue with the small questions and answers section.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much. I've made a mistake. I should have issued the slides so people can follow along while they're listening, especially when there's small text. But once you get the recording, you'll be able to have the slides in front of you and rewatch and etc. So let's pick up some questions now. Yeah. Okay, so while we've still got Vladimir here, any questions? You can say thanks after
Yeah. If you have questions, additional questions, we are here and we'll gladly answer. I think some of the questions already passed, like we create, like Pratvi, we create risk analysis to determine how we could achieve the KPI. Could we link it with internal and external issues? Yes, that would be really useful. You can link it to your internal and external issues. Also, what is important now is that you explain it even more, these KPIs. This is something demanded by the ISO 22000. We should all track the KPIs in our companies, but sometimes it is not, there are small companies, not enough resources, and they only track like some strategy things and objectives once per year. But actually these KPIs are very important now to be presented among ISO 22000. Additionally, I saw that someone was mentioning the question about how small companies should implement this. And I must say, it is for small companies really hard to implement this because they will need additional resources. Of course, they can go to these manuals that IFSQN prepared. They can go to these trainings, and this is really valuable resources. You don't have to call for the consultant or something like that, but it is very hard. We said ISO 22000 is now can now be certified, of course, for the agricultural production. And I have client that is producing vegetables, and there are 2 employees. They are producing vegetables, and they are delivering these vegetables to the public institutions. They are delivering to caterings, etc. And all of these clients are asking from them to have ISO 22000 certified. For them to define the SWOT analysis or to define PESTEL or something like that, it is very hard. So they will probably have a consultant helping them in this, but actually this is something that they will not change so frequently like the big companies. Big companies can change it on every 6 months, because they have to think about it. But these small producers, I'm really not sure.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it is, to be fair, it is complex.
Yeah.
It's not easy to understand and meet the requirements.
Yeah. I see some more questions. Is for SWOT analysis, is it create for each department? Yes, you can create it for each department, because if you have a big company, then especially if you use combined SWOT, and with this you actually can show strategies for each department. So it could be, but the best thing for me, when I have did it with some of the clients, we seated all the departments together. Then I separated for each department, for example, one department doing only the strengths, one department doing only the threats, etc. And then we discuss it all together. So for example, to the quality department, I gave them the threats and the weaknesses, so they were really showing a lot of weaknesses of the company, so everybody could discuss. The easiest thing is to show the strengths of the company. It's very easy.
Okay. Dennis has asked, how far can ISO 22000 auditor request information related to risk analyze? Some of this information may be confidential, internal, etc.
Yes, I agree with Dennis. But actually, when you made a contract with the certification body, in this contract you will have the additional things saying the confidentiality of the data. So you should show all the data to the auditor, all the maybe detailed risks to the auditor. Sometimes you will have some sensitive data, and this sensitive data you can say, okay, we analyze it. Some of them are really sensitive and we are not going to show you, and that's okay. That's okay by me, but you should check your contracts with the certification body. In these contracts, you will have the confidentiality data, and actually all the auditors are really trained according to ISO 9011 to collect the data, and this is only between the client, the auditor, and also the accreditation body. So, you know.
Okay. How do you integrate the results of context analysis in the actions to address risks and opportunities? It's not being seen in this webinar.
Yes, actually, with the context analysis, you are defining what could be with the SWOT, for example. You define what are your weaknesses and what are the threats for your company. And for all of these weaknesses, you will see maybe some of the risks. We can say that weaknesses could be also risks and threats could be also risks. And then you use this also in the FMEA and calculate it. Additionally, what you can do is also in the context define all the processes that are external and internal for you. And for all of these processes, you can think about the risks here. And this is how you connect the context and also the risks. If you go to these links that we provided for the ISO 22000 already presentations, you will have additional requirements. You will have the explanation of additional requirements, and you can go there.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, just one more thing. If you download that COTO log, for example, in this COTO log, you will have different chapters in the Excel. And in this Excel, you will have how the interested parties from the context are connected with some requirements and the risks and opportunities. It would be maybe the best thing how you can see it.
Usman's asked this several times, so I will address it. Is there any differences between FSSC 22000 and ISO 22000?
No. Very simple answer. No.
Wow.
No, the mainly difference is that ISO 22000-2018 is one part of the FSSC 22000. Additional are prerequisite programs that are specific for the industry, and additional are the additional requirements of the FSSC that are complied with the GFSI. So you have ISO 22000 plus PRPs for specific industry plus additional requirements.
Okay. Can you say any more there? Do we need to prepare an SOP around context of the organization, and can we merge such analysis tool practical results into it? Do you actually need an SOP or?
No, you don't have to have it. Yeah, the interesting thing is that you have to have some documented informations, and with these documented informations, you actually you can present it in any way you want it. You can have it like the document, you can have it like the electronic version or something like that. But regarding the SOP, you don't need it for the context. You can present it maybe in the manual already existing or as a separated document, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Who is responsible for the risk assessment processes? Is it senior management team? If so, how can they demonstrate it?
I would say that for the whole thing is responsible. Top management must be included, but for the top management, the lower management will need to give some inputs for the context also and for the risk analysis. So you will have to define the team. For example, FMEA asks from you in one of the first steps to define the team. Hazard HCCP asks from you in the first step to define the team. So actually you will have to define the team, and top management must be included in this case. Because if you are doing, for example, the PESTEL analysis, and when we are talking about politics, then you will need top management who are involved in this to give some answers.
Okay. I'm going to put, well, if you see if there's any more questions.
I see one more question. What is the simplest and easy method to understand and implement risk analysis, assessment, and management for small businesses? As I said, you can go in our download section in the IFSQN store. You can download the manuals there in the ISO 22000, and this is the easiest method. You can look there, and there is some really great examples. So this is one thing you can use. You can call some of the consultancy, etc. Yeah.
Okay, in the sidebar, I'm just going to put a link to the IFSQM forum. So add your questions to that topic at that link. And Vladimir, will you look in on that and see if there's any
no
questions?
problem. No problem.
Insha, no, we do not provide courses for master's students at all. Lots of webinars and training. So take a look at the IFSQM website. So there's that link again to topic. You click that, and if you have a question that's not been addressed today, pop it into that thread there, and Vladimir will have a look. Okay?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Vladimir. I always enjoy when you come along. It's very educational,
Thank you all.
Relaxed, friendly. Really enjoyable.
Well, I expect from all the people now we are making this. We already made a blog on COVID-19 for industry, what they can use. I think that all of you already implemented a lots of preventive actions, but actually in previous weeks we have been talking with lots of industries, and we have heard a lots of new things that you can implement. Also, we have heard additional things regarding the food safety issues now, not so connected with the COVID-19 as it is connected with the preventive measures that people have implemented, like these face masks, for example, that are made of PVC, but nobody's thinking about control of physical hazards now. So this is something that we are going to talk in this Monday. It is 27th of April, and we will have a small update and also questions and answers section, and it will be actually an open discussion between us and the industries and the chat box and etc. So brilliant. I invite you all for this.
Super. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
You can sit on your veranda tonight and have a spritzer.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Bye-bye then.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks, Vladimir. Okay, that was our great friend Vladimir Surčinski. I'm sure you got a lot out of that. We'll be sending the recording in an hour or so with the slides and the certificates, so you can rewatch it, look at the slides. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, everybody. Follow the rules, and we'll all be back to normal soon. Take care.